Hello, everyone. It's SKFC back here with another video. And today we are going to be talking about Nottingham Forest, who are currently, as of January 9th, 2025, third in the Premier League with 40 points. And we're going to be talking about how likely or realistic their UCL charge actually is, kind of what they've done well to get themselves to this point, if they have the quality to sustain this level of performance, and basically just where I see them finishing the season off. So I think the first place to start is where they've been excelling at, as defensively. Um, this season they have the second best defense in the league. I've only conceded 19 goals, and when you consider the amount of goals that a whole bunch of teams have been scoring this year, that is still less than a goal conceded every game. And they're kind of really in that cluster with Arsenal and Liverpool, and then kind of from there, the next kind of cluster is teams like Newcastle, Bournemouth, Chelsea, who have been a little bit more average defensively this season. And then they also have as well the most clean sheets in the league as well. So, which kind of just goes to show that, this isn't them just kind of, fluking their way to a good defensive record. They pretty much have, in half of their matches, not conceded any goals. So that kind of just shows, in terms of how well they've been playing defensively. Their two standout center backs have been Milinkovic and Murillo. Milinkovic is more of a, dual winner. He's really good in the air in terms of winning aerial duels, whereas Murillo, it kind of helps in terms of build up more. He tends to complete more dribbles. He is also a good tackler as well. So they kind of pair really well together. In terms of their fullbacks, they also have Ola Aina as well as Nico Williams. Aina tends to be the more defensive of the fullbacks, so Williams tends to go up and help the attack a little bit more. However, neither fullback really does that to a significant degree. They're both relatively conservative. And I think a lot of what's been really key to Nottingham this season in terms of why they've been performing so well defensively is just basically that their ability to, snuff out any real opportunities, win their duels, and also the fact that they don't really leave themselves open to counterattack opportunities, as they are also dead last in terms of possession in the league. They rank below 40%, with the likes of Everton and Ipswich. So, which means that they're not as open defensively to getting counterattack goals or getting caught off guard. So all of that contributes heavily as to why they've been so defensively resolute. So as already established, Forest aren't exactly a team that are going to outpossess their opponents or, have any kind of intricate build-up play like that. But this can be reflected again in their possession stats. They're last in terms of possession. They're last in terms of accurate passes. But I do think that what they do tend to do, though, when they do have possession of the ball, is they will have Elliot Anderson and Dominguez, who are their main pivots in midfield. They'll tend to have Dominguez kind of sit back and act as the main six for the center back pairing, whereas Anderson will tend to join the attack a little bit and act more as a box-to-box. This also kind of reflected in their numbers, as Anderson is, one of their top assisters in the league, and we're going to get to their attack pretty soon. Whereas Dominguez tends to have most of his influence in the defensive third and kind of in the early middle third in terms of on the ball play. But like I said, most of their actions come from what they do off of the ball. And kind of what we have to ask ourselves now is, if their possession is so low and we already established that their defense is good, how are they winning games? this is where we have to start talking about one Christopher Wood. So obviously, unless you've been living under a rock, we've known about Chris Wood's goal scoring form this season. The guy has scored 12 goals in 19 matches. He's overperforming his XG by almost 5. At 7.2 to his 12 goals. I think one of the more underrated aspects of his goal scoring is the fact that out of those 12 goals, 4 of them have come from headers. And this kind of just leads to a bigger point about Nottingham Forest as a whole. In terms of set piece goals in the league, they're currently 4th right now at 7. And they're really only 3 behind Arsenal, who we've known this season have been absolute diabolical monsters from set pieces. And then in terms of counterattacks, they're also 5th in the league in terms of counterattack goals at 4 as well. And the reason why I bring up these two statistics is because in terms of the set pieces, this is where Christopher would excel, given his I think he's like 6'4" or 6'3". Like, he's definitely tall with the 4 header goals that he has. And then when you also kind of just look at their attacking line, I've already talked about how Anderson's been a threat for them in terms of getting assists with his overlapping runs. And then Hudson-Odoi has kind of been the main ball progressor for them in terms of having an outlet. He kind of leads them in terms of progressive carries, so really bringing the ball up the field and really getting the ball into the attacking third and into the dangerous areas. Gibbs White has been their main chance creator. He leads the team in terms of expected assists, and then Elanga tends to be more of the he tends to play like a little bit of a hybrid role in terms of being connecting with Wood and just having more of an off-ball threat than the other two. But they've all really played their part in terms of getting Wood crosses, scoring goals themselves, and kind of just chipping in terms of attacking prowess. So if I were to look at everything that Nottingham Forest have done as a whole this season, what is my projection for them going to be? Now, I'll be honest and say I do not see them keeping up this form for the rest of the season. My biggest issue with Nottingham is just how their lack of elite play in possession. Now, obviously, I'm not going to expect them to be like Arsenal or Chelsea or Manchester City in terms of being able to cut open teams and passing around the block and all of that. But I do think the fact that the over-reliance on their ball progressors and the over-reliance on Chris Wood, especially, when given just how much he's overperforming himself, how much he's playing out of his skin right now, I just don't see how it can last for them to finish 3rd. I do think for them, a good finish would be around 6th to 7th. I do see teams obviously taking them more seriously in the second half of the season. I do see teams, dropping off against, playing more low blocks, them encountering more low blocks and seeing how they're going to kind of overcome that, given that teams are now going to know that they're actually a serious threat. So I do think it'll be interesting to see if they can continue this trajectory. I don't see them being able to do that. Like I said, my prediction for them is going to be for them to finish around 6th to 8th, thereabout. In terms of things that I still think are above them, I think Liverpool, Arsenal above them. I do think Chelsea above them. I do think Newcastle, Man City, and Aston Villa are above them as well. Those are the teams I would have above them right now. But again, time will tell. We'll see if they're able to keep this up. If you made it all the way to the end of the video, thank you. I appreciate it. This is the first video of 2025. And most importantly of all, just remember to have a good